Jabroni, Jabroni, Oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner, the man who has the greatest Zoom background I have ever seen, the incomparable Jeremy Los. Jay, what's up, dude?
I'm coming to you live from the Firefly Funhouse. I'm drinking a Moscow Mule. I'm having a great Friday. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, not as good as you. For everyone who is not hopped on the YouTube train yet, our YouTube channel, you got to get on just to see Jeremy's background right now. Because you can have this background too for all your work calls, all your Zoom meetings that you're having right now while you're quarantined at the house. And really fire up some questions about your character to your colleagues and your superiors. So
you'll get a lot of questions. You'll get a lot of questions.
You'll get a lot. You're like, oh, you still watch wrestling? That'll be the first question, and it'll just snowball from there. We are of course brought to you by the Blue Wire Network and our friends over at BetOnline.ag. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And please hit us with that 5-star rating for everyone on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review. 1 or 5 stars only, please.
None of that 2, 3, 4 shit. It's only 1 or 5.
Hate us
good
or love
or
us.
really, really bad.
Roman Reigns us. Hate us or love us, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. So make sure you hit that red button somewhere. Here,
subscribe. I think it's like, yeah,
here-ish.
We'll figure it out. You think we would have learned it by when we had Chris Van Vliet on earlier this week. He definitely knows where it is when he points. We did not learn where it is.
But just hit that red button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Two Jabronis Pod. Follow us in the BR app at Two Jabronis Pod. Follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K, and you can follow me at Jeremy A. Loss.
All right, so again, we're back doing our second show of the week. We will be doing 2 shows a week for the rest of time because despite there being a freaking pandemic happening, wrestling still goes on.
Still going strong.
You know, They say the show must go on. Vince must have been a theater kid because he is absolutely taking that saying to heart. So with all that being said, we've got a lot to talk about, actually. So let's head into the main event. And for this week's main event, we are looking at a lot of things that have happened actually over the course of the week. And we're going to start with Money in the Bank. We're going
to go all the way back to Sunday because we didn't talk about it on Wednesday because we had a very special guest in Chris Van Vliet. So we wanted to just give our overall reactions. I mean, that show wasn't all that great, but I mean, the Money in the Bank matches were interesting.
Correct. Yes. But it was also what I loved most about it. It was sub 3 hours. It was
huge.
It was a crisp like 2.5, and a pay-per-view that's 2.5 hours. If you told me that when I was a kid, I would have been losing my mind. Now they're more like 4 to 5 hours, and like I want to leave my house. I have other shit to do. But that was the upside of it. The 2.5 hours went by pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure they were cognizant of the fact that they were heading up against The Last Dance and that they didn't want to do that, right? They just kind of wanted to let The Last Dance live on its own and not fight it for ratings. That being said, the card as a whole was okay, but it was highlighted by the Money in the Bank matches, I should say, and they were. Seeing that they ran concurrently, I was actually very surprisingly pleased with the outcome. Right.
Yeah, I mean, we went into it expecting that it was going to be extremely weird. I think we even predicted a few of the spots. Like we were like, we got that one, we got that one, and they pulled it off. I mean, it was. Let's be honest here. It was not as good as Boneyard and Firefly Funhouse, but it's a weird situation because you're asking people to fight up 6 stories to a roof. Like, that's a weird match in and of itself. But overall, I thought it was pretty well done cinematically. My MVP would have to be Dana Brooke because she did the weirdest shit, in my opinion. Like, she grabbed the fake Money in the Bank. She took a picture to the face and wore that like the rest of the match. So I commend her for kind of
she went all in.
Yeah, leaning into the weirdness of it.
I just don't understand why she thought that was the briefcase. She knew they had to get to the top. That was the whole point of that was the whole draw of the match. So that was a little funky, but yeah. So going back to something you said about in terms of comparing it to the other cinematic matches we've seen recently in the Boneyard match, the Firefly Funhouse match, I feel like it was a little bit different because there was still the live aspect to it. Like, we knew it was all pre-taped, right? Because we've read those reports and everything else. There was also some dangerous stunts that were involved in it that forced it to be pre-taped, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I felt like it kind of stood apart from it being classified as a full cinematic match because it just felt so. It felt cinematic in like a reality TV show sense, if that makes sense. Like, it was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was like what's that? It
was like Survivor in a sense. Like, right. You watch the challengers on Survivor.
Yeah.
And they try to make it look real, but you know that like some of these probably took a ton of takes, took a ton of hours. Like, it's all cut up. Like, that's a perfect analogy for it, because if you look at Boneyard and Firefly, they were drastically different. Like, those were movies. Like, Firefly was a movie.
Yep.
Same with Boneyard. Boneyard was an action movie. And this was just like a reality game show. But I thought overall it was well done. What did you think of the 2 guys that got thrown off the top of the roof? So that's Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black.
Yep.
And B, what did you think of the winners? Because they were surprising considering the odds.
Yeah. So let's start with Aleister and Rey being thrown off the roof. We knew that spot was going to happen, right? Someone had mentioned that. I think we predicted it was going to be Otis, who miraculously did not get thrown off the roof and actually won the whole damn thing. And I'll get to that in a second. But I was fine with Rey and Aleister being the guys, and they explained it later that they landed on like a secondary roof. But in the moment, it looked like that Corbin just committed murder. Like, he just murdered his coworkers on live television for millions of people to see, and the ref was like, "Keep it moving, Baron Corbin.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Take your fake crown, you weird king, and get up to the roof." So that part of it was a little weird, where like people were not as concerned because 2 people just. I mean,
regardless if it's pre-taped and they're falling on a secondary story, that's still an extremely dangerous move, because if something goes wrong where he misses a mark or he throws them too hard or too soft, like, something drastic can happen. And it was, to even think about doing that, like, we're going to throw somebody off the roof, is extremely dangerous, and they did it twice. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, I thought it was a good spot. They were both good spots, so I didn't have a huge problem with it, and it actually... Again, I think the reaction of everyone being like, did we just witness a murder? like that reaction alone was worth it to me. And it's just kind of, again, the way we lean into the absurdity of wrestling in general, where we literally suspend disbelief. In any other circumstance, if that shit happens at like, I don't know, an NFL game, like someone throws their opponent into the locker room, we're concerned. We're like, right. Let's take some cameras. Let's follow them in. The camera just literally watched them go over. And you're like, all right, man. Well, I guess you might be
on
dead.
the action in the ring. Like, let's go back to the ladders. It's crazy.
So, and then
now, the ending to me is something that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, for the men's match, I thought the way that they set it up was actually pretty well done, because they had teased that Otis can't climb the ladder because he stepped on the ladder and broke it. So he's like, he's too heavy.
Kept breaking it, yeah. Fat shamey, by the way. I don't know if
a little bit.
I don't know if I enjoyed that aspect, but anyway, keep going.
But then they had AJ and Baron fighting for the briefcase, and it's almost similar to the way that they did the title match at WrestleMania, the ladder match, where John Morrison came down with the belt after everybody else was fighting with it.
Some
they did it slightly different where they had the fumble and Otis caught it. I thought that was pretty well done. A little bit of a twist of what they've done in the past. Otis is something that I don't think anybody predicted. Like if you predicted Otis winning Money in the Bank, you're a fucking genius because I don't think anybody did that.
I think when we were looking at the Bet Online odds, he had the worst odds of the guys in there. No one gave him a shot.
Because he had it made no sense. Like if you think about it, like at least with AJ, Baron, and Alistair made the most sense to me because of their stature in the company right now and where they stand in terms of storyline. And then below that you have Ray. Like Ray and Daniel Bryan are always going to be in the mix. And then Otis was just like on another level by himself. So it was a swerve. I kind of like after watching SmackDown tonight and seeing Otis with the briefcase, I like him with the briefcase. He's making it part of his gimmick. Like he's humping the briefcase now. Like he's doing his little.
Of course
little
he is. Why wouldn't he hump the briefcase?
Right. So I mean, I'm looking forward to what he does with it. It'll elevate him as a wrestler in the company as the briefcase does for everybody. It was an unexpected swerve. As for the women, I think we both predicted Shayna to win.
We did. She had the best odds to do it, and it made the most sense but this was assuming that Becky would be the title holder. So they clearly knew that that was not going to be the case, and they made the change to give it to Asuka.
Right. And I mean, I'm not mad at that. Asuka she is the second Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, and deservingly so, man.
She's been on fire. Her character lately has been great.
The evolution of her character has been great.
Yeah, and we can talk more about the situation around her winning when we talk about Becky's announcement. But like overall, I was not mad about her winning. I did pick Shayna, but if it was going to be anybody else, I would have picked Asuka. I really did not want to see Nia Jax win it because I just don't really care for Nia Jax. It's not like a shot at her, but I just don't really care for her character at all.
Yeah, like it's not that enthralling when she's chasing the title. She's obviously held the title previously, but that title run was, I mean, at the time it was a nice story. It was fine, but kind of as we got into the meat of that title run, it just didn't do, I think, what they were expecting it to do.
Right.
And her star wasn't elevated as much as it should have been being the champion. That being said, again, Asuka, the perfect person to win, to follow Becky as a champion, because it looks like Shayna will be the number one contender to Asuka, given she took shots at Becky's pregnancy, Asuka of being very supportive. So they're clearly flipping and flipping Asuka face. And, that's going to be for the foreseeable future. I mean, first of all, that's going to be incredible. I do want to talk about...
Hell of a match.
Dude, that's going to be incredible. Otis with the briefcase, I feel like he's going to have it for a while. So, two things. One, there was, I believe he had an interview before Money in the Bank where he was like, oh, if I win, me and Tucker are going to use it to cash in on the tag team championships. First of all, I don't think they're going to do that now because, look, at some point, and it might be 6 months from now, it might be a year from now, crowds will be back, right?
Right.
Like once this stuff all passes.
Well, they're talking about moving SummerSlam to Florida or Georgia so they can have SummerSlam with the crowd.
With people. Right. So my point with Otis is that I think he's absolutely going to hold on. I think now genuinely he's going to cash in for one of the world titles. I think he's going to cash in once a crowd is back, because if he does, that crowd is going to lose their minds. And WWE now has to build to this moment where, look, historically we're going to look back and no crowd for X amount of months. And then all of a sudden, the first crowd that comes back, Otis is cashing in and the crowd is going bananas. Or it's going bonkers. I'm sorry. We got to start coining that term. They're going bonkers. Like, that's going to be historically one of the biggest pops ever.
Especially once he wins and Mandy comes out afterwards.
Yes.
They celebrate. Mm-hmm. I'm 100% with you. They need to wait for this to have a crowd. Also, it's just going to help him grow as a character and as a single star. I swear to God, if they cash in for a tag team belt, I may quit watching. I may just stop watching wrestling, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's good shit.
Like it'd be so bad. So I think you wait for him for crowds to come back. You build him up as a single star, build his character, continue this Mandy storyline that's really, really well done.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Especially Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville is on fire.
Mandy's been on. I watched a couple of her interviews. I believe actually her latest interview with Alex McCarthy, friend of the show. She said, her and Mandy right now are her and Sonya right now are having a shit ton of fun. Just kind of because obviously in real life they're best friends. Like that hasn't changed, and they're obviously using real life aspects of like digs at that people sent at the both of them, in the storyline, but. They're just drawing out the best in each other, and I think they're kind of riding this thing as hard as they can, and that that's fantastic.
And I think this is making Sonya shine so much. Like I've never been so enthralled with her as a character.
Yeah,
her promo tonight was fantastic.
Yep.
I still have a little bit of issues with her in-ring work, but her mic skills right now are on par with the Charlottes, the Sashas, the Baileys.
That's crazy to say because a few months ago, both you could argue you could make the argument that she was average at both, right? She was still improving, yep. And if you had to look at both skill sets, her in-ring ability was probably a little bit ahead of her mic work, and now that her in-ring ability will improve and increase with reps, right? That's all it comes down to. And she just frankly hasn't had a lot of reps because the way that they've treated the women's division over on SmackDown just kind of they haven't featured it as heavily. Obviously with Bayley and Sasha and Lacey kind of running the show there. But now they have this might be the first secondary women's storyline that I've been this interested in a long time, if not ever. And that can easily elevate Mandy and Sonya to the top.
It's instantly made the SmackDown women's division incredibly deep. Like it went from shallow, where you literally had maybe 1 to 2 people at the top that you could legitimately see as champion, and now there's 4, 5, maybe 6. They're just continuing to elevate their performance. Sonya, I think, needs to use this. They'll probably run this through SummerSlam maybe, and then I think you could use this as a springboard for Sonya to really go up into the next level because she's just on fire.
Crazy.
Right, let's move on to the biggest announcement of the week. Becky announcing that she's pregnant. We talked about it a little bit on Wednesday, but and I don't want to go too much into it, but where does Raw go from here? If you look at just their amount of views that they had on this video, their YouTube video for this has over 4 million views. Just shows how much people care about Becky. And then there were reports coming out that she was supposed to beat Nia Jax at Money in the Bank.
Yep.
And Shayna was supposed to win the Money in the Bank and have that feud. So now where do they go? I think it obviously, we hinted at it earlier, that it's going to be Shayna Asuka. I think that makes a ton of sense. But where else do they go? This puts the entire Raw women's division in a crazy flux because you lose the top of the snake, you lose the head of the snake, and now everybody has to kind of scramble to find their own spot. Yeah,
I feel like they're definitely going to feature the women's tag belts on Raw a lot more. And that aside, this kind of puts even the men's side, kind of on notice a bit because Becky, she was a big enough star where she could fill 15-30 minutes of the show, of a 3-hour show, right? You put her in there, that's guaranteed views, that's guaranteed stars, right? And obviously Drew is champion right now. He's doing a great job. He's going to figure that out. I do think them bringing back the Iconics into the mix had to, they were kind of thinking ahead in terms of Becky being gone because they need more star power from the women's side, and the Iconics are fantastic. The reaction for them coming back on Twitter was you can't hear Twitter reactions and Twitter pops. That was as loud of a reaction as you could actually hear through text. So that was incredible. I think this is going to give the Iconics and Alexa and Nikki Cross time to shine as well, and rightfully so. These women's tag team belts have been unfortunately buried so far deep onto the roster ever since they were introduced, and it's kind of almost been embarrassing. So I'm glad that that's happening. I do think this is why they're doing the cross brand thing. They brought that back. I forgot what it's called, like the brand to brand invitational.
I think
whatever.
It's literally just called the cross brand thing. They're not giving it like the wild card rule,
right? But this gives them excuses to this coupled with the fact that not everyone wants to work. And it's probably like a way of limiting exposure to even more people. So, obviously Baron Corbin, he was on Raw last week. And there's just gonna be a lot of cross.
Charlotte was on SmackDown tonight.
A lot of cross pollination happening. So it's definitely gonna have a trickle down effect because Becky is and was still like she was still like the biggest star in the company. I feel like she was the biggest draw. And
I think you made a really good point. Like, she could fill up 30 to 45 minutes within a show, whether it's a match, a promo, some backstage segments. Like, she can fill that up, and now you're gonna have to look to other people to fill that time void. I do agree with you. I think the Iconics play a role here. I think they're just too damn good. Like, you literally can just do a segment where they're walking backstage talking to people. I used to watch their YouTube videos all the time, and I found them extremely really entertaining.
Yeah, they're really good.
I think, yes, the tag team titles, I think you start bringing more NXT talent back to Raw. Bianca Belair is going to play a role in this.
She's going to have some shine, which is fantastic.
And then, obviously, we talked about Asuka and Shayna. I think that is a solid feud. Asuka turning babyface because she did have that that visceral, like, just honest reaction to Becky's announcement. Like, she was genuinely happy. I thought that was great to see.
Let me ask you something about that. Do you think she didn't know? Because either she is...
I don't think she did.
She is like either she's an A+ actress where she's like, I'm going to throw the surprise face on. Or they told her like, yo, you're getting the belt. We're not going to tell you why. Like, when Becky told her she was pregnant, Asuka just had the most genuine shock and genuine, I'm happy for my friend look on her face.
Yeah, you can hear her say, like, you're going to be a mother. Like, she had that, like,
I'm going to miss honest, you.
Like,
yeah,
wait,
she said,
what?
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, I think you're right. I think what they told her is, like, look, Becky has to go away. She's going to be gone for X amount of months. We're going to give you the belt. We're going to make an announcement. And then you go out there, do your thing. And I think Becky was going to, I think they told both of them, Becky's going to make an announcement. And then that's what happened. It's like, it was just an honest reaction. Because it was a little bit of a weird situation. Like, I think I even said this on Twitter. Like, it felt weird because there was different vibes in terms of, like, within the segment. Like, Becky went out. It was very somber. She said, I have to go away for a while. Asuka came out. They were in the gimmick. She got the belt. She freaked out, did the Asuka thing. And then you had the really honest, real reaction to Becky saying, I'm pregnant. And then it just changed vibes again. Like, it was a little funky in terms of the way that it was done. But I'm still, like, obviously, I'm over the moon for Becky and for Seth. I think that it's great. I mean, being a parent, I think you can speak to this as well. It's been like the best thing in my life.
Yep.
So extremely happy for them. It was just a little bit of a weird segment because it felt like 3 different segments in one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. it was pretty funny though with, Asuka celebrating kind of up the ramp, coming back down. And so, I mean, I guess one thing I'll ask you before we move on quickly is just like, what do you think do you think Becky comes back?
I think she comes back.
Because like this is going to be at least a year out, right? She's going to be out of the ring for at least a year. Because I know
she's due in December.
She's due in December, but like you're not going to leave your newborn baby that soon to come back and wrestle, right? Like, and who knows, like with all the health risks that may or may not be cleared by then.
I think she comes back either SummerSlam next year or she comes back at the Rumble in 2022.
Either way, going to be a massive pop. Obviously, we send our best to Becky and Seth. Seth
Rollins Instagram post that he had where he took a photo of Becky with the
positive
stick.
test.
I mean, that was really touching.
Yeah.
From a kayfabe situation, I like that they like continued to play it off like he's a villain on Raw, so they didn't really like have him come out and like give her a hug or do anything like that. I was like, okay, I appreciate that a little bit.
It also, though, it didn't play as well because, like, Well, no, I mean, it still did. Like, he obviously was still reeling from his loss the night before to Drew. It also he looks so disheveled to the point where he was like, I'm having a kid. My life is over. And it might have sent the wrong message if if you didn't watch the whole thing,
Right.
or like you didn't watch the night before. That was just ironically funny. Obviously, this dude is extremely happy,
Right.
for his soon to be wife to be having their baby, and all the best from us to them. And that's they deserve everything. Like these two have given everything to the business, and they deserve to just be parents now.
Becky's been going at it for years. She's been on this incredible hot streak for the past year and a half, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
And just really like going hard. I know this is a weird kind of a break. Like she's gonna be pregnant, but like she deserves a break. Like she deserves some time off. And now she gets to be a mother, and I mean, being a parent is amazing. So let's move on to. We'll go through these next two pretty fast. Edge and Orton has been announced for Backlash, or at least Orton challenged Edge for a match at Backlash.
Straight up, wrestling match.
Thank God! Like they just needed to do this the first time because the no holds bar last man standing match at WrestleMania was a dud. So I'm happy that we just get to see a classic wrestling match between these two. I'm looking forward to the build because the build was the best thing about that WrestleMania match.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this. I mean, I think that they should have reversed it, and because obviously a last man standing match is usually the blow off to any rivalry, right? Just that's literally a dude couldn't get up after a 10 count. That should signify the end of anything. So for them to kind of work backwards almost is a little funky. That being said, to Orton's point, I do want to see Edge just work the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no extracurriculars, just run the ropes, pull, bump, sell, and I think that's going to be very, very interesting to watch because I think almost the last man standing match was protecting him almost. Because it's like, hey, he doesn't have to have all the technicalities down to a T.
Yeah, a large chunk of that match was like walking around the performance center, finding a new spot to do a spot, and then you're having extra time to actually get back into the swing of things. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see Edge actually work a match. Do you think this is the actual blow off, or do you think this is going to be Orton wins and then they have another blow off probably at SummerSlam?
I feel like SummerSlam is going to be they have to have 3 matches, I think. So SummerSlam will be the ultimate. I mean, I feel like they're going to do like a cage match or something.
Yeah.
To kind of a combination of the 2 matches, where it's like in the ring, but also it can get a little violent. So I do think Orton's going to pull this one off. And because I don't know Edge's contract status, but I do know he's only scheduled to work certain dates, and I do think he wants to keep working as long as he can. Like now that he's back, like why wouldn't he? So I do think he's going to want to have the big blow off with Orton. And look, until Reigns comes back, like I want to see Edge Reigns at some point, and who knows when Roman's going to come back. So just keep Edge Orton going for as long as we can. Like I feel like it's done something for Orton, right? Like when you watch him cut these promos, when you see him cut these promos with Edge, who like they're really good friends in real life. You just kind of see him, rejuvenated is a perfect word, because he was kind of just coasting before this, right? Like he was, he RKO out of nowhere, which it's become like almost a meme across like all.
Yeah, this put him back in quote unquote the main event picture. Like this put him in a top line, like an A-level storyline.
Yep.
And you could see him like rising to the occasion. Because I'm with you, like he was just kind of coasting, like he would just be there. And you're like, oh, Randy Orton's in this match, or he's feuding with Randy Orton and it doesn't really mean anything. And now you can start to see like, oh, this is why he's considered one of the best of all time. It's because like he's excellent and it's like he's an excellent storyteller on his promos. In the ring, he's a really good storyteller. So like, I love seeing Randy Orton on the top of his game, and to see him kind of rise to the occasion is really great to see. So let's move on. IC title tournament started tonight on SmackDown. Elias and Daniel Bryan have already won. So the remaining matches are Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus and AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which is going to be a banger. Cannot wait for that next week. So who do you have to win this Obviously, we have Daniel Bryan and Elias already advanced. They're on separate sides of the bracket, though.
They are. I'm going with Elias. I think this is this is just their chance to put him over. He's kind of floated in obscurity for far, far too long. Like he can work a mic better than 90% of the company right now, and they've clearly been looking for a way to put him over. Right? Like there was that segment he had with Vince, I forgot, was it like a year ago now, where Vince said that, he was the biggest free agent signing in SmackDown history or something like that, or when they kind of did the redraft. So like they clearly think the world of this dude. They just kind of kept fumbling every time that he was, positioned for a big run, on the main roster. So I think this is the time to give him the reins, because all those other dudes are over regardless, and they can fight with him, they can feud with him for it, but of everyone, this would do the most for them if he won.
I completely agree with you. Like I think Elias would make a ton of sense. I think if you're looking for a secondary option, Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy just coming back, I think it's a great story. But Elias needs this. He needs something to elevate his character even more. He's starting to get some headway. Him going over on Corbin tonight was huge. And then you would obviously have him probably go over on AJ Styles. I think AJ beats Shinsuke next week. And then you just kind of set him up and continue to grow that character. I think him with an IC title would be awesome.
It would be. I'm also thinking another candidate there would probably be AJ. He's probably going to be wrapped up in this Undertaker PTSD thing for a while, but I do think he hasn't won the IC title before, right? Like he hasn't. He's had the US title. He's had the main title.
WWE. Yep.
So the Intercontinental title is one of the most prestigious titles in WWE history, and AJ is one of the best wrestlers in history, period. So it could be, an opportunity for him to win it, or maybe he's the main feud with Elias if and when Elias wins the belt. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here.
I'm into that. Like I'm into, because Elias is a face now. He's a baby face.
Yep.
So you need a heel, and obviously Jeff Hardy is not turning heel anytime soon. So you can have Elias beat Jeff Hardy in the final, and then AJ, maybe because he's upset after some shenanigans in the semifinals or something like that. I'm just kind of speculating. That's your heel face rivalry for the IC title going forward. I know there's some heat backstage about this decision to strip Sammy, who is staying home due to his concerns about the COVID-19. What do you think about them stripping him? I'm not a huge fan of it.
No, I mean, especially when they've, just from like a workplace standpoint, they put out this whole memo about, if you decide not to come to work because of this, we understand, you won't be punished. Him and Reigns have kind of been punished.
Yeah.
Right? Like they cut Reigns out of a couple promos. Like he hasn't been featured as much. They strip Sammy of the title. It just seems counterintuitive to what they were saying. So I just think it's a bad look. And I understand it from the point of, look, the IC title needed to be defended. Like if they're going to continue to have TV, it's the secondary title on SmackDown, and it needs to be there. I tried.
My question would be to you: when was the last time the U.S. title was actually defended? I know Andrade is on Raw every week, but when was the last time he actually defended the U.S. title?
I feel like it's been a while, because they've really been focusing on that faction,
right?
And
that faction has been so weird to me.
They're been funky.
They're already starting to have like problems. I'm like, you guys have been together for a week and a half.
Yeah, I know. Like, let's all settle down. Let's all be friends here. Yeah.
And I really like that faction. I mean, they're all really great workers. Austin Theory is
really
great.
Good.
Miguel Garza is great. Andrade is great. Zelina Vega as a mouthpiece is phenomenal.
She's fantastic.
But I mean, it's just weird where they're going right now. I just don't like that to me, and I think I made this point on Twitter to somebody, like, they've misused Sami Zayn from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is so damn good, and I don't think they've ever realized what they have in him. I know he was injured for a little bit of time, but like in the ring, he is one of the best workers. On the mic, he is second to none. He is so damn
good. Absolutely killer, yeah.
and it just never seems like they find the right fit for him. I know he's like, from a body perspective, he's not ideal. He looks like you and me, like just a normal guy.
Still like an indie wrestler look
right
to him.
But he has charisma. He knows how to get over. He knows how to get heat. And it just never seems like they find the right fit for him. I know that they did the gimmick where he was like judging everybody or getting upset with all the fans, and that was good for like a week and a half.
Yep.
But they just never know how to take it to the next level with him. And it's really sad to see because his talent is undeniable. And I would love to see him in the main event picture. Put him in a world title match. He's that good.
Yeah, like him and KO at some point, I feel like before they kind of end their careers, have got to like main event, I don't know, one of the big 4 pay-per-views, like for the world title.
Yeah.
Like they're both of them are just that freaking incredible. So, I think at least Sammy was somewhat supportive of the decision because he's been at least engaging with WWE on Twitter. Obviously, he's like shaming everyone who's in the tournament, which I think is a freaking hilarious move.
What was it? The tweet that's like the next IC title holder, and he said should be ashamed of himself.
That was really good. He just gets it. So he's a brilliant mind, and he deserves to be given his flowers while he still can. Let's move on quickly before we get out of here to the Wednesday Night Wars. We found out who attacked Finn Balor, and I'm pretty sure I called this.
I think he did.
Because it was so random that I felt like this dude hadn't been seen for a while, so it was probably him. It's the attacker was Damian Priest. I think they've been scrambling to find something for Finn to do that isn't the NXT title, since his feud with Walter unfortunately had to be cut short. So I mean, Damian Priest makes sense. He's kind of in that mid to upper card on NXT. So he's from. He's trying to make a name for himself. Why wouldn't he attack Finn Balor?
Right. I mean, it's fine. It's a step down for Finn, in my opinion.
Yeah. He'll elevate Damian Priest's status, though.
Yeah, he definitely will elevate Damian Priest. I mean, I was just so invested in the Walter feud. Like, I was legit, like,
so good,
foaming at the mouth for that. So to see this, I was a little disappointed, but I get it. Like they need to elevate Damian Priest, and who better to do it than one of the best NXT wrestlers of all time. So, obviously, I don't think Finn loses a match to him. I don't think that makes a ton of sense at all.
Yeah.
But at least Finn can make Damian Priest look like $1 million. So, going forward, that'll be maybe they do a match in your house, which I know this is skipping a note in our doc here, but NXT did announce that the next takeover is in your house, and I mentioned this on our call with Chris Van Vliet on Wednesday. I like geeked out a little bit because this is one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. I love the in your house shows.
No, when I think back to one of my first memories as a wrestling fan, in your house is such a big part of that. I think my very very first wrestling memory is like SummerSlam '95 or something like that. But as I got into it, in your houses were such a big staple of WWE. Like it was basically every pay-per-view that wasn't one of the big 4, right? It was in your house, some sort of name that kind of fit in with one of the wrestlers or one of the people in the main event picture, right? And the fact that they're bringing it back with the same font is incredible. I hope to God that the entrance ramp is the house.
The house?
Yeah. Oh,
I need it so like God. Do you see Johnny Gargano? Like it was like a video of the in your house set and he put dibs like somebody going off the top of the house would be so incredible.
Yeah.
I need that in my life. I also forgot that I think it was at the first in your house they gave away a house. Like, do you remember that?
No. They gave away a house.
So
this is
at
like
the
Remax?
first in your house pay-per-view, they gave away a house to some fan. And so I'm like,
wow,
oh, man,
I gotta watch that on the network. That sounds incredible.
Man, I used to love in your house pay-per-views. They were so much fun, and they were shorter too. I think they were only like 2-hour pay-per-views. They cut them down. They cut down the price. Everything about them was just like it fit my mom's lifestyle because she bought me the pay-per-views when I was a kid. So it's like everything about it hit me hard in nostalgia. Another thing that happened over on Wednesday for NXT is we have a new NXT tag champ, and it's Imperium. I thought this was probably the right call to have Thatcher and Riddle break up. They had they already started their feud. They had a match on Wednesday night, which was freaking great. I think their feud going forward is going to be fucking brutal. It's going to be a pretty heavy hitting feud. And it makes me think like this was the idea that they had for Riddle and Dunn, and with Dunn obviously out of the country because of COVID, they just kind of switched gears and put in Thatcher there. And now we have a good feud out of that.
Yeah.
Like, they made chicken salad out of chicken shit, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that at some point, you know, Riddle and Dunn were going to split up, right? And I think that was always the plan moving forward, just because them being tag champs was obviously fantastic, but we knew that they could put on a banger match together. So this just kind of made all the sense in the world. It even made more sense because it's not like Dunn turning on Riddle probably would have been emotionally more gripping. You've been like, oh damn, they've been through so much. Like they went through the tournament. And, you know, so there would have been that emotional aspect of this turn. The turn with Thatcher is just it kind of made sense because you're like, well, he didn't really want to be partnered with him. You know, he was doing it as a favor. And so it's easier to get kind of fed up with Riddle's antics. So it kind of made more sense. So you know, I was all about it. And, you know, again, they're going to put on some really, really good matches and their feud is just going to be fantastic. So all about that. And, just very excited. And NXT's got some stuff cooking. Like that feud and In Your House alone were enough for me to be like, all right, I am in.
I mean, the Wednesday nights have been pretty damn great throughout this whole situation. Like AEW's been bringing the A game. Like they've been putting on some incredible shows. NXT is just kind of keeping pace. But now with In Your House, I expect something coming down the line with Adam Cole. Adam Cole's definitely going to have to defend his title. And then they have Io and Rhea, I think, next week on NXT. So Wednesday nights has just continued to produce incredible wrestling. So moving on to AEW. AEW is filling out the field for its casino ladder match. And this is an incredible match brewing. So Scorpio Sky has been added to the match, joining Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Rey Fenix, and our favorite, Orange Cassidy.
The man.
I think they have one more to add, but this is already shaping up to be just a phenomenal ladder match. Like, crazy. Because you know Darby Allin's going to do some wild shit.
I feel like everyone on this list is a candidate to do something wild. Even Orange Cassidy. This is the man who jumped off a balcony with his hands in his pockets. He has no regard for the wellness of his body. So this is going to be nuts. And again, I think after we found out the orange one was going to be in the match, I texted you and was like, it might have been good that Double or Nothing was in person in Vegas was canceled, because if we went, you might not have come back alive.
I would have died.
Yeah,
I legit would have died.
Been dragging your carcass like out of the MGM, being like, Orange Cassidy killed my friend. So you know, it's gonna be fire. I'm so excited about this. I'm
Double or Nothing card is gonna be great.
It is. It came almost out of nowhere. I know it's like it's supposed to be every May, and you know last year was around this time as well. It's, you know, I guess just with everything happening, time moves slow at so many points. You know, but when you look back, it moves so quickly. So that's going to be incredible. Another incredible add to Double or Nothing is Iron Mike Tyson is going to be in the building. He will be presenting the TNT Championship to whoever wins between Lance Archer and Cody Rhodes. And first of all, have you seen the video of Mike Tyson working out again, where he was like, "I'm back"?
Dude, I was literally just watching that before we got on the call. He's 54 years old and he's freaking throwing some heat.
He could still kill someone. Like, if you catch a right hook from him, you might die. Like, that dude is in incredible shape. His skill set is unreal. Yeah, you said he's 54, right?
53 or 54, yeah.
My God, that is frightening.
At 53 or 54 years old, I'm going to be like sitting on my couch with a beer belly, just not doing anything. And my guy is throwing heat.
My wife will be lucky if I'm on an exercise bike at that age. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is just completing full on, like.
Well, he says he wants to box again.
Yeah. Well, that's what he dropped. He dropped like the MJ facts. Like, I'm back.
Like
the verbal MJ facts. And it was like,
I wonder if it's going to be him and Evander again, because I know Evander wants to come back.
He did the same thing. He was just on WWE. He was on Backstage on Tuesday, and then they cut to he dropped a video an hour after his appearance. It was like, I'm back. Like, what? Why is everyone coming back? Like,
I mean,
this is
you know what I want to see, just because I like the violence of things, and I'm a huge MMA guy and boxing guy. I want to see Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield in bare knuckle boxing. Oh, BKFC, let's do it. In some podunk town in like Missouri.
You're a monster. That would that would be. I mean, everyone would buy it, and it would be.
Yeah, it would do some crazy numbers.
If that was if that was the first social event after quarantine ends, I'm kind of in. At this point, if we're like, let's just all gather and watch
like
something
a signal
weird.
Of where we're at as a society. It's like, welcome back to sports. Here's Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield in bare knuckle boxing.
And we're all in. We're like, all right, I'll see you. I'll see you at like 9:00.
Right.
Man.
I mean, going back to AEW, like, how cool would it be if we get like another like WrestleMania 14 moment? Obviously, Tyson joining the WWE for WrestleMania build-up with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels was the turning point.
Huge.
In the Monday Night Wars. So, I mean, I would love to see him get in the mix. Like, let's have some fun.
Let me ask you something.
Like, interact with Lance Archer or something.
So I do want to talk about that in a second. His involvement in AEW at the time when he was, he was part of DX, then he wasn't, and he knocks out HBK at Mania. As a kid, did you realize how big of a deal that was for Tyson to be involved with WWE? Because I remember watching it, and like, I knew obviously Tyson was bigger than life still. Like, he was a huge star, and even as a kid, you recognize that. But I was so focused on like HBK and Stone Cold, like those were my guys. Kind of watching them going into this feud, where I was like, yeah, Tyson's nice, but it didn't really hit me until watching it back as an adult. We were like, damn, that was monster. That was a monster edition.
When I was a kid, when that happened, I obviously knew who Mike Tyson was. I understood his level of celebrity, but it's looking back at it, and you listen to Bruce Pritchard or anybody else just talk about when they got Tyson, how that like kind of signified, oh shit, the WWF at the time is in it to win it, because like they got Tyson and everything changed.
Yep.
And like that was just a seismic shift in power, because before that WCW was just running shit.
The table,
dominating.
Yeah.
And literally the moment he showed up on Raw, had that interaction with Stone Cold, everything changed. The wrestling history changed that night, and that's something that as an adult I fully come to grips with. As a kid, I never really understood that. I was like, oh, Mike Tyson's on TV, that's cool. But I never really understood the gravity of his appearance and what that meant for everything.
That JR call like rings in my ears. Tyson and Austin. And it was
even like Stone Cold,
so iconic.
The Stone Cold saying like, I know you can't hear me or don't understand me very well, but I got a couple sign language for you. Like, that stuff, I still remember that night. I remember watching that live.
Yes. And
I remember seeing them brawl.
Exactly.
And I was like, what? Like, that's how crazy that was. But now as an adult, I look back, I'm like, wow, at how much that changed wrestling history. Like, what happens if he doesn't show up on WWE, and maybe he shows up on WCW, or maybe he doesn't show up at all? Does WCW continue to win the ratings?
Kind of stays. Yeah, that's wild to think about. So going back to your earlier point, I would love to see him be involved, and I feel like they have to at this point. Like, they've advertised the fact that he's going to be there. He's going to have some involvement, whether it's small or big is probably to be determined. But he's definitely going to get in the mix, especially if he's going to be the one presenting the belt. So that's just going to be awesome to have him back in the wrestling ring, period. Especially if this is kind of a catalyst for him to get it back in the boxing ring.
Right.
All for that, because I'm clamoring for some live sports. my God. All right, man. We got through a lot.
I know that was quite a bit to go through.
It's a good thing we started doing 2 shows a week, because we get to spread it out a little bit. Again, thank you guys so much, guys and girls, so much for coming along for the ride. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts, and if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy or you've got time, and we know you have time, you've got time, leave a review. 5 stars or 1 stars only, preferably 5 stars, because we are very sensitive human beings.
And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Two Jabronis with the Wrestling Podcast. Go back and watch our interview with Chris Van Vliet.
Oh, he was fantastic.
He is a pro, incredible human being. Thank you so much to him for coming on the show for the second time. First 2-time visitor,
yes, sir,
on the Two Jabronis with the Wrestling Pod. So make sure you go out and check out that interview, and go check out his interviews with Matt Cardona, Heath Slater. He did one with Aiden English today. So make sure you check out our Blue Wire brethren. Follow us on social at Two Jabronis Pod on Instagram and on Twitter and in the BR app. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy A. Loss, and you can follow Ben on Twitter at Cruise Control. That's control with a K.
There it is. All right, everyone. Enjoy your weekends. Keep staying inside. Keep staying home. Don't be a jabroni. Oh, and wash your hands. Don't be a jabroni.
Yeah, wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Do all of the stuff. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Stay safe, everybody.